It's 5:30. Call it to order anyway. We'll call the meeting to order. I call it the meeting of Pasadena Independent School District Board of Trustees in regular session on Tuesday, October 22nd, 2019, the Board of Administration Building 1550 Pasadena, Texas, at 5:30 p.m. Board members present are Mr. Jack Bailey, Mr. Steve Fernandez, Nelda Sullivan, myself, Marshall Kendrick. Ms. Morgan will be a little late. And Mr. Roberts and Ms. Maricel are out of pocket. Let the record indicate that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting is duly called, and that notice of this meeting was posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Invocation will be given by Mrs. Sullivan and the pledges by Mr. Fernandez.
Would you please bow with me? Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for the many blessings of this day. We pray that You would lead and guide and direct us as we go through the business of this district. We thank You for our students and our staff. We ask that You would provide them with Your loving care as they go through their daily routine of teaching and learning. Keep us ever in the center of Thy will. These things we ask in Thy name. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the pledge to American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
We will have an adjournment in closed session pursuant to Texas Government Codes 551.074 for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer, employer to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee concerning matters related to the superintendent's recommendations to hire administrative personnel, and/or concerning matters related to the superintendent's recommendations related to renewals, non-renewals, and termination of contract professional personnel. 55.071 to consult with district attorneys concerning matters with the attorney's duty to the district under the Code of Professional Responsibility clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meeting Act, to seek the advice of its attorneys about pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offer, and/or to consider legal advice regarding items specifically listed on the agenda. 55.071 to consult with district attorneys about NOx resolution agreement. 551.072 for the purchase, discussing the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. We will reconvene at 7 p.m.
Do you have a late update on Deanne?
Yes, I talked to her late this afternoon.
Ability clearly conflicts with reconvene in open session. We have item 4 is public comments, which there are none tonight. Item 5 is consideration of possible approval of administration personnel, which is no action. Item 6 is adjournment to closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551071, 551.
We're not doing that again until later if we need to.
Thought we did, okay.
Yeah, we'll go straight into the script.
All right. This time we're taking up the agenda item related to the Level 3 grievance complaint by Mrs. Jamaica Wolford. Since Mrs. Wolford has requested the Level 3 complaint to be held in open session, we will not move into closed session at this time. However, if Mrs. Wolford and/or her representatives complain of students and/or employees, or those students and/or employees subject to continuous open hearing in open session, the board will move to closed session under Section 551.071, 551.082, and/or 551.0821 of the Texas Open Meetings Act. If the board moves to closed session at any time during this hearing, we will, at the conclusion of the hearing, return to open session to take any appropriate action regarding the hearing. It is 6:10 p.m. on Tuesday, October 29th, 2019. We will now proceed with a hearing complaint from Ms. Jamaica Wolford, who has filed a Level 3 complaint under the policy of the district, in particular FNG local. The board's objective tonight is to hear Mrs. Wolford concerning her complaint and any response information from the Pasadena ISD administration. Since Mrs. Wolford has initiated this proceeding by requesting a presentation before the board, she will have a responsibility of presenting her complaint to the board and convincing the board that she has been wronged as stated in the complaint and that she is entitled to the relief she is seeking. The board has the final authority to determine the facts related to this issue and to make a decision at the conclusion of the proceeding. In doing so, the board may decide the facts and interpret and apply board policies related to the concerns expressed. The hearing will be conducted as an informal administrative hearing proceeding, and no strict rules of evidence will apply. However, all testimony should be relevant to the area of concern and related relief. The board has been provided a copy of the Level 3 complaint and FNG board policy. It is the board's understanding that Ms. Wolford will be representing herself. Is that correct, Ms. Wolford? And the Pasadena administration will be represented by Pasadena ISD attorney David Hodgson. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. President.
Ms. Wolford, for the record, will you please introduce who is present with you tonight? Okay, Mr. Hopkins, for the record, will you please introduce who's present with you tonight?
Yes, board members, good evening. On behalf of the administration, I have Chief Russell, the chief of the Pasadena ISD Police Department, and our level 2 hearing officer is also with us this evening, Tony Lopez, our associate superintendent.
Thank you. Pursuant to FNG policy, board policy, reasonable time limits have been set for this hearing. Ms. Wolford, you will have up to 30 minutes to make your presentation. In your presentation, please identify your specific complaints and any and all relief you request related to your complaints. Following your presentation, the administration will have up to 30 minutes to make its presentation. After the administration has presented their information, Ms. Wolford, you may take 5 minutes to take whatever rebuttal or closing statements you may wish to the board. The administrator will then have up to 5 minutes to present whatever closing statement they may wish to the board. In order to provide an accurate record of this proceeding, a court reporter is present tonight. Please avoid talking while others are speaking so that the transcript will accurately reflect the proceeding. Members of the board may question Ms. Wolford or the administration at any time. However, it is not the board's intention to ask questions until the conclusion of the presentation. Members of the board are not subject to questioning by the presenters, and any statement to be made to the board unless providing an answer to a question from the board must be made through Mrs. Wolford or the administration. Cross-examination of opposing witnesses will also not be permitted. All statements and presentations shall be limited to the issues considered by the Level 2 hearing officer and contain the Level 2 record of the subsequent request for Level 3 appeal hearing. Ms. Wolford, you may proceed with your presentation. You have 30 minutes. Ms. Morgan will tell you when you have 2 minutes to go and let you know when your time limit is up. Thank you.
On Monday, May 13th, 2019, I began protesting along the front edge of the road at Shaper and the grass in front of the Southeastern High School parking lot property, which is public property. The protest was initiated because a Hispanic female student named Lisa wrongfully gave my daughter, the Portia Wolford, a SAID student, drugs on May 1st, alleging that they were candy, and it landed her in the hospital for 2 days. The Portia reported the crime to the Southeastern school staff, and so did I. And we reported it to Officer Jackson, Assistant Principal Johnson, the nurse, and Ms. Huntington, the counselor. And the same day, later that same afternoon, the school officials began retaliating against my daughter and I, and threatened to put her in DAP placement. And appallingly, the PISD Police Department refused to press charges, despite me asking them to do so several times for the crime that the student committed against my daughter. And during a later hearing, the same student admitted that the principal falsified her statement by adding that LaPortia gave her drugs, and that's in the transcript that Mr. Hodges have also. She admitted that the principal added that in, she falsified the statement saying my daughter gave her drugs, and it was untrue. That's unlawful, fraudulent, abusive, extreme abuse of power, because that lie ended up making her not be able to graduate, finish school, which I'm sure you all know that she's no longer in school and pursuing her GED. She struggled a long time to get to 12th grade just to not be able to attend school because you all didn't do your job in other hearings. So today, I asked for $1 million for the wrongful arrest of me, the wrongful arrest of LaPortia. I asked for the pain and suffering, the humiliation, the public humiliation, the infringement on my First Amendment right to protest. Her First Amendment rights were infringed upon, which is to protest, for the extreme retaliation, including her not being able to cross that stage and get her diploma like every other student. Also, for the extreme harassment and the board not stopping and not stopping all the harassment, discrimination, and retaliation that I have been telling you guys about way before we got to the point where we were wrongfully arrested. And for the defamation of my character by putting a ban on me as if I did anything and as if it was warranted. I did not do anything that would have caused any harm to anybody. Protesting is not a harmful act. It's not. It's our right to do that. That's why we exercise our rights. So I want to pause my time because I want to utilize the computer.
Pause. She wants to use the computer.
Should be time to go.
Resume time.
It's still going.
Resume time.
Cut it up.
We got all these administrators from the main building out here. Yet they're not dealing with the discrimination and the racial problems that's going on. So this is what I want y'all to see. This is what I want you to see. I want you to see what's going on. They're blocking these exits from these kids. They got the main people here coming. If she was gonna harass me, leave the room. They got people blocking all the exits. But I have a right to do what I'm doing. I'm protesting. Yes, ma'am. I'm not. No, you probably just rushing. I didn't tell you to call all these police. You look at all these people. You have here. You have all these people. So I'm telling you. No, anyway, lady, I'm on the outside. I'm asking you to leave me alone peacefully. So I'm going to go do whatever you gotta do.
Right there, she stated, I'm going to go get an officer. She said, I'll ask you peacefully to leave. And I told her, I'm asking you peacefully to get out of my face and quit harassing me.
They have officers at every location as if I'm some terrorist. Look at them. Got all these people out here instead of dealing with the major problem, which is her discriminatory ways, her retaliation against the kids, her covering up sexual assault, the girl was raped on campus, all these things she covered up. She's not dealing with that, but she wants to deal with me as a parent. And then she said, I'm making a scene. Maybe she made a scene when she decided to have all of these people police and lock the school down. She made the scene. She made the scene this morning. Everybody need to understand what's going on here in South Houston. Please contact the news media. Please contact the mayor in Pasadena, in South Houston area. Please contact, let everybody come out and see what's going on today. She made the scene today. She made the scene this morning. She think I'm going to go away. I'll be out here to the last day of school, baby. He's not going away.
As you can see, I got in my vehicle and I'm headed back to the front, which is public property.
And then she tried to say that that was her way of trying to get me to where she can silence me. You can't silence me. I ain't making no sense. I'm not on the inside of the school. I'm on the outside of the school.
From this video, you do not see any students, you don't see any parents, you see administrators.
Not in school again. And we're out here protesting. She tried to lie and say that I made a scene. I'm making a scene. No, you made a scene. You called all these officers to come out here like you were dealing with a terrorist. You, instead of dealing with the fact that you discriminated and lied and covered up all the discrimination against my baby, retaliation, another young lady was raped on campus, you hiding that, you made the scene. And I need everybody to see that. Please call me down here so they can see that all these exits are locked down. All of these police officers, I'm about to post on Facebook where all these officers are so y'all be able to see. And how they locked down this bridge, basically shut down early college building over there where my other daughter is. So we need somebody here at South Houston High School and Pasadena, Texas, please call the media.
So basically, I want to describe what you just saw. You seen Ms. Winky come up to me. You seen her tell me, I'm asking you peacefully to leave because I got not parent complaints, which you don't see any parents in the video at all. You see no students. They were all inside the building. School had already taken in. When she said that, I told her to peacefully get out of my face, to leave me alone. And yet I still went back. You just witnessed me get back in my vehicle and drive back to the protest line, which is at the edge of the street, which is public property, which is not against the law to protest. So so she went and got officers. So let's go to the next one. She went and got officers.
They gonna walk out here and make their ass walk all the way out here. They gonna tell them, they gonna walk the business themselves.
You see them approach me at the protest line.
You might as well throw it in the trash. You might as well throw it in the trash. I'm not taking nothing from you. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. So, as you can see, I'm not there.
He states right there, you've been issued a trespassing warning. As you can see from that video, I was standing at the protest line when they came approach me, and I was not on school property. I was not harassing anybody. I was not performing or acting in any way that would be a threat or harm to anybody. I was on the protest line doing what my legal right to do. It's my United States First Amendment right to protest.
Yes, I'm done. I would like to turn to the exhibit number 3. I'm sorry, it's not exhibit 3. It's PASADENA exhibit 1 on page 73 of PISD. It's the Texas Education Code, Chapter 37, which states that unauthorized persons refusal of entry and ejection. It says a school administrator, a resource officer, or school district peace officer of a school district may refuse to allow a person to enter on or may eject a person from property under district's control if, and I put emphasis, if the person refuses to leave peacefully, which we all just viewed the same video where I left. So that's not being disputed, obviously. It says if they refuse to leave peacefully, which I didn't. Number 1, the person posed a substantial risk of harm to any person, which I didn't. I was live on Facebook the whole entire time. Number 2, the person behaves in a manner that is inappropriate for a school setting. Number 1, I was not inside of school. Number 2, I was outside of the school. Number 3, I was merely just video cammering. You didn't hear any profanity. You didn't hear me yelling. I didn't speak to anybody. I spoke to my audience, Facebook. Matter of fact, when she approached me, I told her, don't leave me alone, quit harassing me. So, and then it states that even if she wants to say, okay, I behaved in a manner that's not appropriate for a school setting, we'll go with that. Let's look at that. It says I would have to omit 2 different prongs for that one. It says that I would have to, 1, behave in a manner that is inappropriate for a school setting, and, emphasis on and, an administrator or resource officer or peace officer issues a verbal warning to a person that the person's behavior is inappropriate and may result in a person refusing to entry or ejection. We all listened to the same video. Not one time did she say, hey, listen, your behavior, I'm going to have to get you ejected from the property if your behavior is inappropriate. She didn't say any of that. Matter of fact, she just told me to leave. She said, I asked you to leave peacefully, and I told her I asked you to get out of my face peacefulully. She never stated any of those things in order to give me a warning. And it says in your policy, in your Texas Education Code 37, that that you must say these things in order to issue that warning. Then it says, even with that, even if I had met the first prong or the second prong, it still gave you something else. It still said I would have had to meet the last prong, which is the person behavior persists. I did not. You hear her ask me to leave. You hear me tell her to get out of my face, but yet you do see me go back to the protest line, which is off the property, out of the jurisdiction of the officers. Therefore, by your own policy, I should have never even been given a trespassing warning. It's your policy. I didn't create this. This is your policy. This is your Texas Education Code. It states that in order for me to even be given a trespassing warning, I would have met all these prongs, which I did not. We watched the same video. So if you guys don't render a decision in my favor for number 1, lifting the ban off of me. I have a daughter. I've missed every one of her games at the beginning of this year. She has a major a ceremony, Lauren, coming up. Lauren is still in school there, early college. She's the only African American student that's going to receive a award that day. And I will be present, and I expect you guys to make the right decision so I can be present. My baby has worked hard, and she is one of the only African-American students in early college, and I plan to be there. So with that being said, again, I asked for the wrongful ban to be lifted and removed immediately, because we all are human and we all can see, and all of us have common sense. You just watched the video that does not match anything that they tried to lie and say. I asked for a public apology because, number one, first of all, the arrest would have never happened had they stayed in their own jurisdiction. That's number one. I was on the protest line, which is against the law to violate the protest line. You broke the protest line when the officers came up to me, which we witnessed on the same video. When they walked up to me, I was off the property. Number one, I shouldn't even receive a trespassing warning in the first place because I left. So what she did, she said, what you heard in the video, which you can watch again on your own time, slow it down, pause it, frame, whatever you want to do to it. She stated, well, I'm going to get an officer. That's fine, but when the officers came out and they realized that, hey, she left, that should have been the end of it. Had it been South Houston Police Department, they would have said, well, she's not doing anything. She's not on property. She's doing her First Amendment rights. She's standing out there protesting, which I've done before. This is nothing new. This is probably new to you guys. You've never had nobody stand up like I have. So that's why it was such a problem that day. And on top of that, she was trying to silence me because she knows that I know, and the police department know that I know, that a young girl was raped on campus and she was trying to team up with me. So they posted online to come out and help the cause. And trust me, I have proof of everything that I say. So that's what they got wind of. They got a wind because the young girl who came out on the first day of my protest and her mother, they had some friends that were all decided to come out and help us protest the next day, which is why they had all the officers blocking all the exits, which again is against the law. Who gives you the right to silence students? They have a right to protest and their First Amendment rights. They still maintain that even when they're in school. So she had no right to block down, which I have witnesses that they locked the exits on the inside. They didn't actually physically lock the doors from the students, but they blocked all the exits. They wouldn't let the students move around like they normally do, which is against the law. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I proceed on behalf of the administration. Thank you for the opportunity to present. The administration completely rejects the arguments and complaints and requests for relief brought forth from Ms. Wolford. She's so wrong on multiple legal issues that I'll hit upon, but factually incorrect as well. Let me take you back. The board knows the background, but I think it bears repeating that this whole circumstance and background began because of the possession and use and distribution of drugs by LaPortia Wolford that she took on school campus at South Houston.
Objection. That has not
You cannot object, I'm sorry.
It's not relevant to this case, and it's a lie.
Ma'am?
It's a lie, and it's...
Ma'am, you've had your say. You be quiet till he finishes, then you can talk. I'm sorry, but you don't have a right to interrupt him.
Let me explain to you. I understand what you're saying, but I'm an adult. So you don't tell me to be quiet, just ask me if I can give him this opportunity.
Mr. President,
I'm okay with that.
It is our, Ms. Wolford, it's
Oh, just a minute.
have an opportunity to reply and closing
Okay.
as we
That's fine, thank you.
To be,
I understand, thank you.
all right, so if I may proceed. The background is relevant. It is a reference to the record, and it was referenced by her argument the other way. This board has actually already heard the discipline appeal in great detail. That was also the reference to testimony. That was also upheld in another hearing. There was testimony, and the testimony was that LaPortia gave drugs to another student, which was testified under oath by the student that she forced to be there. The context, yes, is drugs, but tonight is the issue of the parental response to that situation and how the administration and our police attempted to reasonably respond to these circumstances. And that leads us to the early time in May 13, 14, this alleged protest. A couple of arguments you've heard tonight. One is, I have a right for a First Amendment as a parent to come anywhere on campus and say anything. That is completely wrong. This parent does not have a right to take a camera and walk up and down the front of a school campus. There is no First Amendment right support for that whatsoever. And when she is confronted by our principal, who'd had complaints of her activity on campus with respect to to other parents and students complaining about her activities that she had no right to do on school property and did on school property, the principal came out to address that, informed her she was being disruptive, asked her to cease, and asked her to leave. Gave her a warning, a trespass warning, that if you continue and you don't leave peaceably, your activities, your actions here are inappropriate, you need to leave. And her response is, come on. And all kinds of other combative responses. Instead of saying, you're the principal, I'm going to leave the school property at this time. And she claims she left the school property. She didn't leave the school property. She walked to her car on the school parking lot and drove it to another spot on the school parking lot. That's not leaving school property, that's going to another location on the school property. Then she got out of her car and walked to the grass area, which, by the way, is school property. The grass is not public property for anyone. It is public property at a school, but only for school purposes. So she actually had no right to even be on the grass. And so the approach by the principal was appropriate, the warning was appropriate, the actions by this parent were inappropriate and continue to be inappropriate. And that leads us to that second video. And let's go back, if I may, because she left out a part. Let's look at the rest of when a written trespass notice is provided and they attempt to give it to her. And I want you to watch her response. I want you to look at the actions by this parent and by the pushback and the resisting and the inappropriate actions they took by calm officers trying to deal with this situation.
Can you just tell me play?
Sure,
And
give you a chance to get there.
you want the second
Yeah,
video?
you go to the second one, please.
That's what we have.
The grass area, board members, is school property. It's right outside, close to the road, but it's not at the road, of the South Houston High School campus. Go ahead and play. Now, she's already been warned to leave school property. She doesn't. She stays on it. Now, there's no right for her to be on this ground here.
You might as well throw it in the trash. I'm not taking nothing from you. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say.
You can throw it in the trash. I'm not listening to nothing you've got to say. Here, officers tried to address a parent, and she acts like, if she just pretends like it doesn't exist, that she's not culpable and responsible. She is, she was, and she continues to be. Keep watching. Look at this parent's response. She's informed you're on PISD property. She's told she's on property. Let's go, let's go. Bring it. Arrest me then. Arrest me then. Please arrest me. Well, okay. Do what you got to do. Now, you see the officer touching? I don't see the officer touching. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. There's been no touching.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Get her keys for me. Get her keys. They're gone. Get her keys. Get her keys. They're on arrested. Get her keys.
Walks away.
She trespassed for freedom of speech. Don't touch me.
There's no freedom of speech on school ground. She's on school parking lot at this juncture.
She's done nothing wrong.
She has. She's been disruptive on school property and asked to leave and refused to do so peaceably. Have you seen the officer touch? I have not. She walked around as she screams in his face. This is the parent that wants you to grant $1 million tonight. Give them the trespass notice. Please leave. Not leaving, screaming. Inappropriate behavior continued, which, by the way, the officer can implement the trespass warning themselves, which they have. Your misunderstanding of the law does not excuse their behavior. They're trying to effect an arrest. She's resisting. Arms. Fighting back. Notice they lock arms. One of the arrests was for interfering in public duties of a public servant. As Trey Morris, the sergeant who investigated this, articulated in your level 1, these were interfering activities by LaPortia and her mother. These officers are trying to work through the situation. Elbow up. Screaming. Fighting. Okay, ma'am, you're out of order. She's on school property. She interfered is what she did.
For what? For what? Why are you holding her arms like that? She's handcuffed.
Yeah, stop it right now. We can stop there, board members. That is difficult to watch. It's sad and unfortunate. But that principal respectfully asked her to leave. You saw on our own video. Those officers calmly asked her to receive her notice and to leave. She consistently refused to do so. And she escalated. Did you notice the officers did not escalate? She escalated in her physical manner, in her verbal manner, in her cussing at them, in her refusal. She interfered with the duties of a public servant. And so there was probable cause that existed for arrest for criminal trespass, as well as interfering with duties of a public servant. And so those issues were reviewed. If you'll look in your board packet to the investigative report, board members, on page PISD 52.
Do you know what it's behind? Because I'm having trouble.
The numbers are way down at the bottom corner, and they should be in order.
It's on the third to last tab.
Okay.
It's behind the level 1 decision.
Okay. Thank you.
And I apologize, my books are around.
That's all right. It's no big deal. Yeah.
I just wanted to refer you to the investigative report, because what transpired is these complaints were filed. Sergeant Trey Morris was assigned to reviewed the matter. He was not one of the officers involved. He has detective experience and has served in internal affairs for our police department, a very appropriate selection by the chief and the CKE. He reviews all these different matters. If you'll note, he has a background description, some of which we've already talked about at the bottom of 52. If you turn the page to 53, and you go to the however down there at the bottom, he finds that Shamika Wolfer was walking around, they ignored request of Principal Weekly. Skipping on down, if you go down to the last paragraph, he found that Sergeant Lonnie Smith advised Ms. Wolford that she would need to leave PISD property on her own or that she would face being arrested. She was warned from this, but her inappropriate behavior continued. And the officers attempted to control her. She physically resisted them. She refused to comply with commands. As you turn the page to 54, she became agitated, or LaPortia did, and attempted to physically interfere. And ultimately, based on all of those actions, in the next paragraph, Ms. Wolford was arrested for criminal trespass and for interference with duties of a public servant. She met those requirements. The arrests were appropriate for probable cause according to the legal review. And for the investigation review by this officer, if you go all the way to the back on page 55 at the very end, you find in the second to the last paragraph, I know you can read, but just for the record, the investigation found that LaPortia had accepted and ingested the illegal substance, and that there was no substantiation to any allegation based on race or harassment or retaliation that showed that throughout this or in this record. And he found that the officers involved had probable cause for the arrest and otherwise did not act inappropriately and did not discriminate regarding either LaPortia or her mom. And he also found, of course, that no damages were appropriate in this matter. This was reviewed in a level 1 decision by our chief of police. Chief Russell, did you serve as the level 1 hearing officer on this complaint?
Yes, sir, I did.
And we may have to share this mic, so we may be leaning in a little bit. Is your decision outlined as the level 1 decision on page Pasadena ISD 036, board members, down the bottom right, 036? Is that your decision, sir?
Yes, sir, it is.
And did you review all the different complaints presented, including and the information presented by Sergeant Morris as well as the parent regarding these issues?
Yes, sir, I did.
And other than relief related to how the decision would be communicated, did you find that there was no support for the actual complaints and therefore they were denied by your decision?
That is correct.
And in particular, on page 1, that the investigation did not reveal that Pasadena ISD PD wrongfully arrested Ms. Wolford or LaPortia, correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And that the requirements for the applicable law under the Texas Education Code regarding notice of trespass warning and the ejection from property was appropriate.
Yes, it was.
Thank you, Chief. Now we go to Ms. Lopez. You conducted the level 2 decision, did you not?
Yes, sir, I did.
Which board members? That is outlined on PISD 019. PISD 019. And did you listen to all the information from level 1, including the arguments at level 2?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did your decision uphold the administration and the level 1 decision?
Yes, it did.
And between the level 1 and level 2, was there communication and input back and forth between the parent on aspects of the trespass that was, the notice of trespass applied to her.
Yes, sir.
Did she request some modifications in response to, related to her other daughter who was still continuing to attend here in Pasadena ISD?
Yes, sir.
And did the administration work with the parent and make some modifications so that there would be some aspects to where she could still access campus under some circumstances, et cetera?
Yes.
And are those outlined on page 20 and 21, showing the different ways of modification to the notice of objection or refusal based on the parent's input and what the administration was comfortable with, allowed all the circumstances?
Yes, sir.
And were those appropriate, especially at the level 2 hearing?
Yes, sir.
And what is your request tonight to our Board of Trustees with respect to your level 2 decision?
I request that you deny the complaint and uphold the level 2 decision.
And that is our request, board members. We believe there's sufficient evidence to support the administration, as well as the police department and the actions that they took as related to your district circumstances. Thank you, nothing further. Happy administration of the police department.
Thank you, Ms. Hodges. Ms. Walford, if you have any other documents other than those you've already provided, you wish for the board to consider, please provide those now. Any other documents you might have? You have 5 minutes for rebuttal. And I apologize for telling you to be quiet. I didn't handle that very well.
Okay. Well, first I want to start off with Mr. Hodges stated that the principal, we always watched and listened to the same video. Her words were never, if you don't leave, if you don't cease your behavior, if you don't stop, which is, again, a board policy that I did not create. It doesn't say she can allude to it. It does not say that she can kind of mention it, and I'm supposed to know board policy. It states that she must tell me, or he, officer or administrator, that my behavior is inappropriate for school grounds, and therefore I will be receiving a rejection or refusal if my behavior does not stop or cease. That's what it states. You hear her tell me to leave. She said, I'm asking you to leave peacefully. And you hear me tell her, I'm asking you to get out of my face peacefully. You then see me get in my vehicle and drive it back to the front. He states that my car can't be on property. Number one, how would I know my car can't be on property? As long as I'm not physically on property, is all I know. Number two, I'm not on the grass. If you watch the video and you pause, you can clearly see I'm standing on the concrete. The officers, you can see them walk up to me. I'm on the concrete, which is the street, which is public property. I wasn't even on the grass. You hear me saying, don't touch me, because what they didn't show you, which is why they, notice how they only entered my videos. These are my videos. Both videos that they entered as their witness, as their evidence are my videos. What happened to the body cam? You had 7 officers on the scene. Why didn't you show any of those? You know why? Because they were incriminating. That's why they didn't show them. You would be able to see the officers grabbing for his handcuffs as if he was going to arrest me, which is why my sister then said, you can hear her say, oh, he's going to arrest her and get her keys. So he had already been threatened from the moment he walked up to me. He was grabbing for it. When I told him that I didn't want nothing he had, he started grabbing his, he said, well, you're going to be arrested then, and started grabbing his. And that's why I say, you can come on, make a big scene then. How are you going to arrest me? Because I don't have to take, the law is I don't have to take the papers from you as long as I adhere to them, which I did. I end up on property by the time they arrest me is because they were backing me up. He was approaching me, which is why you see me backing up instead of grabbing at my arms, which is why, again, they did not show you body cam. Why didn't they show you body cam? Why did they use my own videos? Yours would have more detail. His body cam would actually show me. Why didn't you give you guys that? Why are we not playing that today? Why are we only playing my videos that I gave? Because they don't show you the whole picture. That's why he chose those. But the whole picture was, he was grabbing for my arms. That's why I stated, don't touch me. You think I'm just saying it like I'm loony? No, he was grabbing for me. And so I told him, don't touch me. Why? You don't have no reason to touch me. He grabs his cuffs as if he was going to arrest me, which is why you heard my sister say, get her keys. He's trying to arrest her. And again, I wasn't on the grass. The video speaks for itself. I mean, we watched the same video. I don't understand why he said I'm on the grass. You can clearly see me standing on the street. When you see the officers, we can play it again, and you'll see the officers walk up to me on the street. They were never in the grass. I was on the edge of the street. And he stated earlier that I was arrested for criminal trespassing First of all, the DA did not accept those charges. They tried that lie. But while I was in the police car, they called him. I actually heard myself when the officer came back and they said, no, yeah, we're not going to do criminal trespass. You know why? Because I didn't violate criminal trespassing. They knew that. They couldn't get that to stick to me. So what they did was, Ms. Winky gave a false police report, which I do have.
You have a minute and a half left.
And she gave a false police report. And in that, they lied and said that she told me several times as if I had a warning. I didn't have a warning. I wasn't receiving, and when you hear me say, arrest me then, why didn't you arrest me? Because they were trying to lie and say as if they've already given me things and I knew I wasn't supposed to be on property. I had nothing before that day. That day when you asked her to leave was the first time I'm told to leave the property and you see me leave. So despite whatever lies and he's trying to trick you, your eyes can't lie to you. You literally see me go back to the edge. And furthermore, I represented myself in that case and it was dismissed because it had no merit. Thank you.
You have 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Again, we reject their position. The video does speak for itself. You see the principal who shares that there were complaints, that is being disruptive, asking her to peacefully leave, and her behavior continued. She continued, she went again, as we've already seen on the tape, from one location on school property to another location on school property. The opening of that video is grass. You can see it on her own Facebook. It's not the public street. She's not standing in the street. She's at grass. And the school police department, according to this board of trustees, has jurisdiction throughout the entire school district. They can go ahead and provide written documents of a trespass warning about school property to someone even outside of school property. Even if you try to take that argument, they clearly have jurisdiction to do that. She refused to peaceably remove herself. All her stuff and activities, her car, her chairs, the other people, they're all on the grass. They're not in the street, they're in the grass. And therefore, she was on school property and she was in violation of the trespass. The question on the table was their probable cause. Yes. Even in the ultimate issue from the DA confirmed there was probable cause for arrest, whether you take charges or not. And there were charges on the interference, both by related to Ms. Wolford and LaPortia as well. At the end of the day, there is no justification for the actions this parent took or did. There are no legal rights that were violated. There was no discrimination or retaliation. And there's certainly absolutely zero support for $1 million award. Talk about ridiculous under these facts. So we request respectfully that you uphold the level 2 decision and deny the complaint. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hodges. Complainant has completed their presentation and administration has responded, although not required, by the question of either party by any board member. And if so, for the record, please state your name and ask the question. No questions from the board?
I do have a question.
Marisol Quijano, what was the point? I know you had mentioned in the first video that you showed that was the second day that you were there. What was the point of you going in front of the school?
I went in, I was always on the edge of the street, but that particular morning, when I got there, I was so shocked because officers were everywhere, blocking all the entries. Our tax dollars, we had at least 4 or 5 school administrators, counselors, principals, superintendent. They had a associate superintendent there that day. So I had just got there. When that video started, I had just got there. And when I got there, I'm like, they blocked all the exits. And I realized why they done that, because the kids were saying that they were going to come help the protest. And the other young lady who said she was raped on campus, her and her mother were there with me the day before. And she stated that she had friends that were willing to come out and help her protest about the cause, because the school had been hiding these crimes against our students and not saying anything. The police department had been working with Ms. Winky to cover things up. So when I got there that morning, all the exits were blocked. Officers everywhere, administrators at every door. That's why you don't see any students. They were already in school. So I wasn't, as she called, making a disturbance. Who am I disturbing? Nobody was outside. You just seen administrators. So that's why I came closer, because I couldn't see. I mean, I wouldn't be able to film or let people know, because I was Facebook Live. I wanted people to see all the wrongdoing that was going on around the school and what I was dealing with the school district. So I came closer so they can see. But Like he said, I don't know the law all the way. Some things I know and some things I don't. But however it is, if my actions were inappropriate and I was on campus, when she told me to leave, I left. So you can't punish me if I do what you asked me to do.
Because if you were there the second day, apparently you didn't have an issue the first day protesting.
No, I didn't.
Any other questions? The board, without objection from either party, would like to deliberate off the record on these issues with the board's legal counsel. Any vote on the complaint, of course, must be taken in open session. Hearing no questions, we will now go off the record to deliberate. So if you will clear the room for us while we sit and deliberate, we'd appreciate it. We're back on. We're going to reconvene in open session. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. President, I move to deny the complaint of Ms. Wolford and uphold the Level 2 decision in its entirety.
Second.
I have a motion, Ms. Cahan, and a second by Mr. Sullivan. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Roberts.
What did I say?
Sullivan hadn't been on board.
I'm sorry, Fred. I had nailed his name down here, Mr. Roberts. I'm sorry. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Madam Secretary, please note the note passed unanimously. Ms. Walker, you will receive a written confirmation of the board's decision, which will constitute the board's written response to your appeal. Thank you. Thank you. We're adjourned.